All right. So today, all you really need is the regular right now. Blue sheets I have, but they're in copy bags still, so I got to get those out. And I don't think we have anything from our lesson on the blue sheet. Let me double check that. Today, your header is going to be more expression work with identifying terms. Poo-poo. I was wrong. I did put examples from class on here.
Potty word.
You're right. Poo-poo goes in the potty. You do need a blue sheet. Sorry, there's two there for you guys. All right, everyone has a blue sheet, yeah? All right, friends, let's dive in. Hey, so our goal. First off, our goal is to focus up on the teacher trying to teach because you're at school and that's how things go, right, Bella Morgan? I'm just going to start to combine your name when the both of you aren't paying attention.
Morgan.
So, today, we're continuing what we did yesterday, so it should be slightly easier. Who can remind us how we identify and or like split up terms? Araya?
Like subtraction and addition.
Yeah, addition and subtraction split up our terms. So this example we had written down from yesterday, that the 6 times 3 is one term because it is multiplied, but then plus 8 minus 3, those are separate terms because of the addition or subtraction. So you have this on your blue sheets. On your blue sheets. So I can see everybody looking at their blue sheet.
I have a blue sheet.
For each of the expressions below, draw a diagram to represent this. Now, I wanted us to talk about this together because this is where a lot of us kind of are like, oh, draw a diagram. Like, that makes me uncomfortable. Now, some of you, like my artist people, are probably like, yeah, whatever, draw. I'm always comfortable to draw. But now, on this past mastery, which we're going to go over today, I'm going to give those back to you, and you're actually going to tell me what grade you think you deserve. I have all the feedback done, but I want to see what you think. Would you give yourself a progression? Would you give yourself a mastery? Some of you didn't do this on the mastery, and I let it slide for right now. I realize my music is still on. I let it slide for the time being because we're still like easing into things. But I'm going to want you to be able to actually do this when you're asked to draw a diagram. To actually be able to draw a diagram. So, how do I draw a -3? Well, we draw 3 negatives, right? So we would just say like negative, negative, negative. Then plus, that's an and, so I just kind of move to another group. Ooh. -4 times 2, what's that little 3? What's that little 3? Exponent. What's that tell us to do? What if I just like pull this off to the side, 2 to the 3rd, and I can put that 2 in parentheses, but it doesn't really change anything. What's that do? Yeah, 2 times 2 times 2. Well, what's 2 times 2 times 2? 8. So this is really -4 8 times. Or the opposite of 4 times 8. Now, most of us on the mastery were okay on the sign work, so a little bit difficult. But -4 times 8, then I would just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wanted to show that that's seriously what I would draw. And then the best way to draw a +5, I could draw the +5 out here, the 5 pluses, or I could just put them down here. Why did I do that? Araya?
It's kind of lining it up. You kind of just like take it out, and they cancel each other out. So
Yeah, those all cancel each other out, so they become 0. We remove that then. So our final answer here would just be what we're left with. Now, if we solve this algebraically, right, because this is kind of annoying to draw this whole thing, I want you to be able to do this, and on the next mastery, if I ask you to draw a diagram, please do that, because I will start to take like points off for it, count off for it. But let's go back and solve this algebraically. So if you saw a space on your blue sheet, or you might bump over to your graph paper, I want us to get more comfortable with order of operations, because guys, being real honest, the majority of you, I mean most of the people I'm looking at right now, goofed up on order of operations on the Chapter 2 Mastery. And you're going to get those back today, so if you're wondering, was it me? You'll know here by the end of class. But order of operations, if we don't remember, should look like this when we write it out. Yeah, but I never say that because it makes it seem like one, then the next, then the next. Like, it's not. There's only 4 steps, actually. There's do anything in grouping symbols, and some people call this a G instead of a P. Parentheses actually means any grouping symbols. Exponents, any powers that we have, then multiply, divide, then arithmetic is last, right? The add, subtract. This is why it splits the terms, and it's the last thing we do. Some of you on the mastery added, then multiplied. We don't add the multiply unless parentheses tell us to do that, because that bumps it up there. So first thing we do here, copy what doesn't change, only do one thing. So the 2 to the third, like 2 to the third power, becomes 8, and everything else stays exactly the same. So this is what we should have written on our paper. Nothing different, because we don't want to jump over steps and make a mistake. Then what am I able to do? Actually, let's pause for a second. How many terms does this expression have? We're going to go random card to wake some people up this morning. Bella, how many terms does that expression have? You can either look at where we started or right here. It'll be the same answer. 3 terms, right? Because we have that addition and that addition splits us up into 3 terms. So, Savannah, at this point, what should I do now?
You should start the multiplication.
Yeah, no, well, we started with the exponents. Yeah, now we do the multiplication. Totally agree. Copy what doesn't change. Right, the only thing that changes is this. What's negative 4 times 8? Still 3 terms. Right, I see some people that aren't even holding pencils. Come on, you're doing this with me. I shouldn't have to come around and say, finger wag, why are you not doing this? You chose to come here. Choose to engage with me. Still 3 terms. Now, there's nothing left to do except for add and subtract. So now we put our terms together. Remember, we always sort good guys, bad guys? Easiest option. So if I put all my bad guys together, we have negative 35 plus a positive 5, which is going to equal negative 30. Now, if I went back to my model, we would have 30 negatives out there. Still left after we took out the 0. Any questions on how we did that, either with the diagram or by the algebra? Like, this is the algebra, because we didn't draw a picture. We just did the math. And really, it's more arithmetic than it is algebra. So do the second one on your own. You do not have to draw a diagram. I just want you to solve it algebraically. Like, write out step by step by step and solve it. So if you use the space over by B, you might need to do this on your graph paper. And if you do this on your graph paper, please copy the original first. Are you asking why isn't this in parentheses? This? Oh, it could be. So here's the issue. If we follow this using exactly how it looks, remember what we talked about with the calculator? Let me clone this page real quick so I can do B separately. If that doesn't have parentheses, it's different. So this, and let's solve this exactly how it is. So guys, you might need to pull yourself back and come back with us to do this. That doesn't have parentheses, and we can't add parentheses because this is what they gave us. And if I go type this in my calculator, it gives me -9 because we do the exponent first, and then the negative will come later since it's not in parentheses. So this becomes the opposite of 3 squared, which is 9, plus 4. I can go ahead and do inside the parentheses if I want. -2 plus 5 is 3. So this does come out to be -9, but that's not because it was -3 squared. It was the opposite of 3 squared. This happened after, right? If we're following the order of operations strictly. And the other reason, if we draw a diagram, it's the opposite of 3 squared. And 3 squared is 3 sets of 3. The opposite of that would be -9. So now, we'll keep on. Zach, what do I do now? Multiply. And bonus question, how many terms do we have? 2. So if we go back to what we talked about yesterday, this, yellow doesn't work. This, sorry, that's really dark, is 1 term, right? So this is 1 term, right? This addition inside of, that doesn't work. This addition inside of the parentheses doesn't make it multiple terms. That is all 1 term. This is 1 term. And as Zach said, the next thing we do is do that multiplication. Now, I would put that -9 in parentheses just because it's a negative, and we know we will put that in parentheses. But with what the problem started with, that's how we have to solve it. Who wins here? Good guys or bad guys? Good guys by how much? 3. That was... Any questions? I will tell you guys, we're taking a mini mastery on Friday. It'll be rolled with like 3 questions, probably something like that. But it's essentially going to be identifying terms and order of operations. Is everybody comfortable on why we ended up with a -9 from squaring that situation? We didn't square a negative. We did the negative of the squared value.
You said that it's different when there's parentheses. What would change?
I love that you just asked that question. Ray, if I made a bunch of money, I would pay you for that question. Oh, it was such a good question. So Ray said, what changes? Like you said, it's different. How different? Right? And we're going to start to look at a lot of situations like what your homework asked you last night. Put parentheses in and see what different answers you can get. I put parentheses in. Let's see what different answer I get. So -3 squared is actually +9 because negative times negative is positive. So then +4 times this is still 3, which means this is still 12. But now this is going to be, sorry, not 17. My brain is a little broken this morning. What's 9 plus 12? 21, not 3. So that's how different your answer will be if you put the negative in parentheses first. And that comes down to order of operations. Does that make sense? Katrina and Madeline, we're working on a problem. They're kind of having one of those math is hard conversations. So Madeline noticed these 2 expressions look almost the same, except for one has 2 terms while the other has 3. Discuss Madeline's observation with your team. Explain. So these look almost. Why do you think Madeline said that? Can you talk like what you think she's noticing that actually was in our lesson yesterday? Right? When you look at things, you're like, well, they kind of look the same. Anybody think back to that problem yesterday that had A, B, and C? We got 3 different answers from A, B, and C. This is why I love using a smartboard. This. Remember this?
Yeah.
Remember this from yesterday, guys? Every problem uses the same numbers. A 2, an 8, and a 6.48. And I forget if it was this class or the other class, but somebody was like, they're all the same. I was like, they would all be the same if they all had parentheses here. But they don't. So they're not all the same. Why? Maria?
Because with order of operations, there would be different places that you would start in every problem.
Yeah, order of operations tells us how to solve the problem. That's why we get different values. So what Madeline was noticing is like, yeah, these have very similar numbers, and they both involve a power, and no, they're not the same, Madeline. Sorry, go back and try again. So, first question, going to Luz, how many terms are in this expression? Phone a friend if you want some confirmation. How many terms are there? Remember, terms are split by the addition or subtraction. Yeah, there are 2 because the only actual addition subtraction is that. This is in parentheses. It's going to be done before we get to addition subtraction. It doesn't count as separating terms. So please, did I put this on your blue paper? I put one other one on there, didn't I? Yeah, this is on there. 14.
Yeah.
It's on your blue paper. Now, this is one where I am going to say you can draw a diagram if you want, but you don't have to. I want you guys to solve this out following the order of operations. Be careful. You can get multiple answers if you do it a different way.
Do you recommend we use
Hmm?
Do you recommend we use
Not necessarily. It all depends on what works best for your brain. Guys, you have to decide what helps your brain. If drawing a picture helps your brain, do it. If it's not helpful, don't, because it's a waste of time. Just don't do things that don't help you. Yeah, great question. Order of operations always gets followed, even inside the parentheses. So when we go to solve this term, we have to follow the order of operations inside of the parentheses and do that multiplication first. So if I copy down this entire thing, just because that's a best practice. And if the only thing I do is inside the parentheses follow the order of operations, that's going to become 8. You did what? It will be 13, but I do one step at a time. So you went ahead and did the next step of 5 and 8 is 13. Are you cool with that? Like, it's the same thing you have, right? Any questions to get to here? We're not done. But any questions to get to there? We multiplied in the parentheses, then we added in the parentheses. Now we multiply because we just have a multiplication and a multiplication. And exactly as Luz told us, we have two terms, right? We still have two terms until we get down to the addition subtraction stage. So when I multiply, I'll still have two terms, 39 plus -6. Who wins? Good guys, bad guys? Good guys by how much? 33. Any questions on that? Huh? I can't hear the words coming out of your mouth, Nick, so I'm going to move on.
And then like it'll be 38, and then automatically and then there'll be more good guys.
Oh, you're making a Thanos joke.
And then the thingy.
Try these 4 problems on your graph paper, please. So if you are one of my sketch artists, so that goes under the graph paper or to the side. We have these 4 problems, 2 decimal, 2 fraction. You may use a calculator, but be careful with the order of operations. Do not try to make your calculator do the whole thing. Deal with one term at a time. Deal with one term at a time. Share values. So instead of telling you just asking, can I have that calculator, you could just say, hey, did you do 3 times 8.63? What is that? That you can share values with each other. You should write down the first step before you ever type anything in the calculator, because you write down the original fraction. Guys, again, and I'm gonna start to like ding points on this on masteries. You write down the original. If it's not on your paper already, you write down the original. So the first thing you should have written down is 3 times 8.63 plus 1. Then, after you type it in the calculator, anyone want to help me with the value of this multiplication?
25.89.
Then plus 1 more still. 26.89. Ah, so what property, I'm curious if anyone can remember, what property does A to B show us? By you guys saying it's the same thing. Well, it's not the same thing. It comes out to be the same thing. Bella, do you know what property this is? Nikki? What property lets you move? What word means I can move? I like to move it. Commute. The commutative property. So please, on your paper, because none of you... What if I offered $5 for that question? If I, in this moment, and Callie was like about to dig into her notes, she's like, it's in here somewhere. Please write this down. That's the commutative property. No, because you didn't know it. The commutative property says we can move the numbers. And that works with addition and multiplication. I can change the order of multiplication. The answer is the same. I can change the order of addition. The answer is the same. Bella? Commute actually means to move. Com means like together.
So I guess it's kind of like sharing, I guess.
Yeah, like yeah. You can think of it like that. Now in CD, technology you guys don't use anymore, does that just move numbers around? Who can talk? Excuse me. Who can talk about is CD the same as AB or is it different? Right?
It's different because they moved the parentheses over one, so you have to do addition first in B because that's just how order of operation works.
Yeah. They moved the they like moved this parenthesis out to here. Is that going to change the answer we get?
Yes.
Yes, because that changes what math happens when. So C and D will not be the same. There's no property to talk about why it's not the same. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of property, but the commutative property means it stays the same. Right? We're not staying the same, so we don't really have a property here. Any questions on C? We don't have to solve out to the answer. I just wanted to talk about why these will be different. The lesson continues on to look at more examples of this. E versus F. Put your eyes up here just for a moment. Like you don't even have to write this. Just look at E versus F. You got a -4, a 3, and a 5. And a 2. And there's a negative sum. Is E going to be the same as F?
No.
No, probably not, right? Like, that parentheses is grouping the -4, the 3, and the 5, and then we would double after doing that. What about G, H? Oh, those are way different from each other.
Yeah.
Right? Those aren't even like the same relationships that we've been looking at. I'm debating skipping this for now. Yeah, so real quick, I am going to pass your test back to you. I do not want you to talk with each other. I do not want you to like compare. I just want you to take a moment, look at my feedback, look at my notes. Now, this is tough, so give me your eyes so I know you're listening. You have to honestly look at the mistakes that you made and ask yourself, why did I make that mistake? Was it a silly mistake that now you're like, oh, yeah, well, of course. Or is it something you still don't know? Then I want you to decide what grade you think you deserve. An M, a P, an NP, an E, like whatever you think. And remember, not progressing just means I got a lot of work I need to do. Like I'm not really moving forward, I'm kind of stuck. Progressing means like I'm moving forward, but I still need some work. I still need to practice some things. I'm still kind of iffy on some stuff. And mastery means you really got it, right? Like you really understand it and you can show that you know it. So I've got feedback on your no grade, and I need you to write the why, right? Don't just give me what grade you think. Tell me why you think you deserve that. So if you think it's a mastery and you missed a couple things, write to me why you missed those. Like why do you think you're a mastery even with having a couple mistakes? Yeah, please don't make this like a group thing because it's each individual to you. Yeah, what's up?
Where do we write the why?
Oh, on the front. So I'll cover up this person's name. So there's a big space right here, right? And I only put your grade up here, so you can just use this space. And if you don't have that, you can grab a post-it or something like that.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to give that person their. Yeah, I found a way into that.
Thank you.
Now I'm trying to pick and choose. You guys are awesome. I appreciate how quiet everyone is.
Okay.
Yes, there. Yes, I'll be. missing Sarah, right? And I have homework from last week to pass back while you're doing that as well. Right. Oh, I know how you got that. You added first. Order of operations. So for all of you, and it was a lot of you, so don't feel bad about this, but if I wrote order, question mark, exclamation point, or anything like that, that's order of operations. I was just trying to save myself some writing. So if I wrote order, question mark, you messed up order of operations. That's how you got the answer you got. Molly? Oh, what's 5 minus 3? Because that's your next number. You got 3. What's 5 minus 3 actually? Yeah, because then we would start from 2. But if your next number was 3, these are all right. And you identified the right pattern. You just made a simple like arithmetic mistake. And then if this wasn't clear, I need the test back. So when you're done putting your grade and your note to me, you can just come back up and put it in the bin, because that'll be the easiest way to do this.
Can't you miss like 3 questions until it's already?
That's not how it works. There's no set number of questions. And what does it mean to miss a question?
Like get it wrong.
What does it mean to get it wrong?
And
So seriously, let's use an example that if you had your ears on, Molly and I were just discussing, she's like, wait, you marked it wrong, but you marked it right. She was like, I'm confused. I was like, oh yeah, I remember grading your paper. What's 5 minus 3? And she's like, well, 2. Yeah, on the test, you wrote down 3, but then you did everything else right. Her mistake was a simple arithmetic mistake. I know Molly knows how to subtract. What I was testing you guys on is, can you identify the pattern? And she identified the pattern correctly. She used the pattern correctly. She just goofed up a subtraction. So that question's right, even though she, Nick, quote unquote, got it wrong. It's not wrong, because I was testing the skill of pattern identification and application. Yeah, and you might have just messed up, and that happens. Okay, I'm still recording. That was a bunch of recording me passing out papers. Who's sick? Somebody's sick today. No, oh yeah, Sarah's sick. I can email this to her. Sarah, she's not sick. She's flying home. Or she's still in California. And actually, I don't know that we have anybody else from this class out. So Sarah, if you end up watching this, hope California was fun. I have your test for you whenever you get back.